I really loved Layer Cake. Layer Cake is an amazing film, and it's amazing partly because you don't know really what's happening. And the surprises come organically out of character as well as action, as well as the called mise en scène, to use the pretentious French term, where you yeah, no, it is when we try to use it. Talk a little bit about what attracts you to this role in the first place.
Well, the script, I think, is the first thing that an actor gets, and this was such a good script in such good shape, and plus the fact that I've never done anything like this before. If that's the honest truth about it. Chance to wear nice suits and sort of mix with gangsters. I mean, a little bit of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. What can I say?
Do you notice the fact that right away that your character doesn't have a name, that there isn't a name for the character in the script? Does that pop out at you right away? And does that affect in any way the way you play the part? I mean, everything gets thrown into the mix, I know.
For me, the reality of the situation was, the research and the discussions we had about the part was that that drug dealers or criminals, the ones that we see are the ones that aren't really being very successful, the ones that are driving flash cars, wearing lots of jewelry, and sort of appearing sort of, showing off. The ones that sort of aren't really making the money, aren't really being the successful, as successful as they could be. The ones that we don't see, the people we pass in the street, and it's just something to do with how anonymous this character is, and how much he doesn't want to make any waves. He wants to get on with his business. He wants to move in any circle he can, and he wants to leave and have not left any mark. So I didn't have there's no problem with not having a name or even a past, because it's his anonymity. God, it's early in the morning and I said that. That's fantastic. Is sort of so important to him.
Also, there's a sexual dimension to this character too. In fact, one of the great plot jumps in the film is when he's sitting there naked to the waist, expecting to have a great sexual, personal moment. Is when something takes him and he gets introduced in a rather rude way to somebody higher up the gang food chain.
Talk a little bit about. I think every piece of cinema has some sexual tension in it. If it doesn't have sexual tension in it, it doesn't exist as a piece of cinema.
Yeah. I think you're right. And I want to jump around because there's several films, I think like 4 films of yours that I want to talk about, The Jacket, The Mother, and Love is the Devil, and we'll jump around to them. I first saw you in Love is the Devil, which I thought, I didn't really know much about the painter Francis Bacon, but the story I thought was so beautiful, so brutal, and so honest, and literally the way your character falls into his life in a bungled burglary. Talk a little bit about how you got that role, because it's astonishing, and what the demands of that particular role were.
I got the part. John Mabry, the director, had seen me in a television serial I'd done for the BBC called Our Friends in the North, and had asked me to do the part. Originally, Malcolm McDowell was going to play Francis Bacon, but he dropped out for personal reasons, and thankfully Derek took the job on, and we did it. I mean, there was very little challenging in that, doing the part. I mean, it was just a lot of fun with John, because John's such a wonderful director to work with. Apart from sort of when he decided that I should be a flayed figure on a diving board. Don't ask me why, because he's an artist and whatever. But I had to be covered in surgical adhesive for 12 hours. Which meant that I had to walk around on set naked, covered in surgical adhesive for 12 hours, with everybody promising me that the showers worked. And when I got there at the end of the day, this sort of trickle of water came out, which is when I kicked off and had a shit fit. But what can you do? Fucking artists.
Well, what had attracted you to the script in the first place? What did you think about the role? Because the role is it's a funny one, because Francis Bacon operates in the high level of society, and this your character doesn't. Your character is treated rather brutally by Francis and his friends when they drink a lot. At the same time, it's an amazing love affair, intimate, and it deals with the artist. There's so much there. It has to have been such a rich script.
I think you just answered the question, really. As I can add to that. I'm a huge Francis Bacon fan, simple as that. If I ever get any money at all, I will spend every penny I have on buying myself a Francis Bacon picture. I mean, It's, you just kind of gave the answer in the question, I think, very much.
Talk a little bit, what was the hardest scene to do in that film?
There wasn't. There wasn't the hardest scene. I couldn't remember. Anyway, it's 8 years ago, for Christ's sake. But I mean, I don't, there's very little apart from, like I said, being covered in surgical adhesive. The rest of it was just a joy.
Now, the film you get to do for Hanif Kureishi, based on his script, The Mother, was one of the more recent ones I saw, which was very provocative. I love the character. And what's great about it is I don't recognize you from film to film. There's no connection from Love is the Devil to The Mother to The Jacket into this. I mean, what's nice about it is you're becoming a star, but there's an anonymity to it because each one of the works seems to stand out distinctively. Talk a little bit about that handyman character who winds up in that relationship with the older woman. It's an amazing character. Talk a little bit about what goes into creating that.
Hanif Kureishi is an incredible writer, but and Roger Michell, who directed the piece, who I've worked with since in Enduring Love, they've had a long-term relationship. They did a great BBC series years ago called The Buddha of Suburbia. I read the script and was terrified of it. I didn't want to do it. And Roger sort of insisted that I come and talk to him, and thankfully he did. And he could, as they say, charm the birds from the trees. Just said, I said, I don't like these people. I don't like any of these people. I don't like I don't like what they represent. I don't like what they do. I don't know where the piece was going. And Roger sort of said, well, that's the point. So I did it, and I'm so grateful that I did it because I'm very, very proud of it. The character I play, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Roger just said play yourself, and I kind of did play myself, I suppose, a little bit, except for when he throws things and starts to, has a shit fit at the end of the film. But it's, although I've done that occasionally as well. He's, I don't know. It's the combination of Roger Michell and Hanif Kureishi is just too tempting. The two of them work so brilliantly together. Hanif's script is, it's a subject matter which has not been addressed, and I hope we addressed it a little in the movie. I don't think we could. I mean, there's further to go with it, but I just think that I just was that wonderful idea. I hope at 67 I'm fucking. I mean, I really do, and I'm sure most people do. And I think that's what the film starts addressing, is that we have to sort of get our head around the fact that it's not going to all stop at 60. Or 70, or 80 even. So, plus, the sort of the basis of the story is about family, and about and living in a large city, and how dysfunctional families get, and how tricky it is to sort of keep a family unit together, with the pressures of sort of modern society on you. I'm just kind of lucky, really, I suppose. That people like that want to work with me.
With The Jacket, you get to work with John Mabur again, and that's a role where I didn't recognize you at all. And from what I understand, it's a combination of Kerouac and Cassidy that your character is supposed to represent. Talk a little bit about how that character comes about in The Jacket.
So John sort of, I mean, again, working with John, John throws sort of ideas at me. I mean, the usual way it is, we sit in his apartment in London and sort of get drunk and talk about it, and he just sort of said, look, I want you to do this. I know it's only a small part, but I'd like you to get involved. And of course I'd do it, because he's a very close friend, and I think he's a wonderful director. So I'd sweep the floor for him. But it was a little combination of Kerouac and just I don't know. I mean, I wanted to sort of, I wanted someone who on the surface appeared to be sort of crazy as hell, but actually deep down inside had a handle on things and was just trying to survive, which is basically what most people are trying to do in this hospital. So I don't know. I worry about that performance. I sort of just went for it, and I hope it worked. But it's playing crazy in a hospital is a very dangerous thin line to walk.
One of the things I notice about your character in Layer Cake is that the character is somewhat passive. He's more acted upon than he acts in some ways. He does things, but he's beaten up. He's yelled at. He's actually, in some respects, used as kind of a whipping boy for these older goons in the crime family who he comes to know and a little bit too well. Talk a little bit about how playing that, because you have a sense he can lash out at any point, but he doesn't. The restraint of the character, the passivity of the character is as interesting as the dynamic action of the character in some ways.
His control and his respect, I think, comes from the fact that he doesn't have a temper on him. I mean, he loses it in the film because of what happens, the consequence of everything falling apart in the film creates a problem for him. But he knows too well that he surrounds himself with very, very, very tough people who would kill him if they thought that it was necessary to get him out of the way. So he's learnt to be passive, but not impassive. I mean, how does that make sense? They need him. They really need him, and that's where his power comes from. But he's not stupid enough to start challenging them physically. I mean, that would just be ridiculous. They all carry guns and knives and would just put him in a block of concrete. I mean, that's as simple as that. But as long as they need him and as long as he has strength and power and can outthink them and outmaneuver them, then he's always going to be useful to them.
What kind of a guy would this guy be?
I'd be a very successful stockbroker or something. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's a money man. I think he's what he is. I mean, he owns a letting agency. I think it's a cover for what he does, but I mean, he's out there. I mean, and he looks at what he does as a business and that what he deals in as a commodity. And so do the people above him. And the fact is that sort of drugs touches every echelon of society, and it doesn't sort of have any, it doesn't have a class distinction, and he knows that, and sort of that's where his sort of immorality, I suppose, comes from, because he doesn't really have a, he's not pushing to the lowest parts of society where it does the worst damage. He's actually pushing to the higher parts of society, which those people try and screw each other.
There's a long history of British crime films, from The Long Good Friday to even Mona Lisa and Performance and other films. Do you have any sense when you're doing a film like this of any tradition, any background of other films?
Matthew Vaughan and I just basically, have a common ground. Our favourite films come from the late 60s and early 70s. Our crime thrillers, both British and American. So films like the original Get Carter, films like The French Connection. I mean, when we first met, that was a common talking point, and was very important that we tried to not recreate but pay homage to that era and to that style of filmmaking, which was on one hand down and dirty, but made cities like New York and made cities like LA and made cities like London look cinematic, and made them look like magical but real places, if that makes sense. And I think what Ben Davis, our DOP, has done so beautifully has made London look like a magical place, but a very real place, and also given it a huge scope, which sounds sort of kind of, you think with a city that large would be easy to do, but it's not.
Just two more. One, what is it like, you work in a film like this in Britain, and you work in an American crime film, Road to Perdition, with Tom Hanks and Paul Newman, and you play a very, very highly charged character. Talk a little bit about the difference as an actor fitting into that ensemble as fitting to this one, which has just as many august actors in it, but it's done in the British sense.
I don't think there's very little difference, I think, between, a movie set's a movie set. I mean, I've worked in movie sets in Russia and all over the world. I mean, it's a movie set. It's incredible, really. It's just, we're all part of one horrible gypsy family, so we just behave the same way.
Also, grew up in Liverpool. What was that like? It's a place where my father comes from, and it has all kinds of cultural touchstones now. Talk a little bit about what it was for you to be formed by it.
Well, I mean, I grew up there, but I got out as soon as possible because it was at most during the 80s, and it wasn't the most depressed stage. I think it's been a long time, and the opportunities to sort of get ahead there were very bad. I mean, thankfully, and God bless them, they've got the European City of Culture this year, and they're having a huge injection of cash, and the city's looking more beautiful than it has done for a long time. But I left in 84, 85, and it was not a place to be. And also, I wanted to be an actor, so it's still very much my home. But I've lived in London most of my adult life now, so I have to sort of like call London home now.
I ask Matthew, what is the thing about the British film culture as opposed to the theater? Why does the British film culture never seem to take hold of the British film business?
Money. Money, and also I mean, we've never had, we haven't had a large enough film industry, and you need a large enough industry to sort of get together. I mean, and plus the fact there's too much temptation here. I mean, anybody with any talent at some point comes over here because there's more money to be made, and sadly it drains the talent that we have there. But it's there, and it keeps going, and it's had a kick in the teeth just recently because it's lost a tax break, but it will get back on its feet again. And it's important that I won't stop working in Europe and in the UK because I love it and it's my home. But I want to encourage it because we have a pool of talent, and we need it. We need to support it.
And also, very special films get made.
Mm.
Have been for decades.
Mm.
Very little could have been made anywhere else.
No, it's true, but not sort of on such a regular basis that would support a film industry. Sort of, I don't know. I mean, there's a debate. There's 3-4 production companies in the UK that make very successful movies. Now, if they all team together, we'd have a studio, but they'd have to talk to each other, which I think is probably going to be, when hell freezes over.
Working for Spielberg, is that still on?
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
that must be exciting.
I hope so, yeah.
It also seems like an exciting project.
I think it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be, I'm very much looking forward to it.
What part would you play?
I can't talk about it. They'll break my legs.
And also the James Bond thing, is that just gossip?
It's a lot of gossip, a lot of smoke, very little fire.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.